I am Audra Klum with A&D Klum Environmental.
And would you make your presentation? Okay.
Sure. We have supplied to Brad, I hope he received it, a copy of the notice from the DEP that includes the application number. So that is, Brad, did you receive that? Oh, okay. Notice is CE 285-1868. So that's the file number for the project with the DEP. We also did some minor modifications to the project drawings. There was some question in our last meeting as to what the driveway the surface would be, and we went back and forth with grass and gravel. The plan said gravel. The engineering department informed us that gravel would be the way to go because of access and during muddy seasons, and it would be too difficult to maintain consistent grass there. So you will find that the plans, and I did send those to Brad yesterday, the revised plans do show that the access will be gravel. Also the entry, the access was modified slightly to come in a little bit closer to the first utility pole that is to be replaced. And that is following an existing gravel accessway. And I don't know if Dave Tivian's on, if he wants to add anything else. Dave, are you on?
No? Okay.
Doesn't sound. That was it, because the board or the commission reviewed all the application before, and those were the changes that we needed to make. So if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
Okay. All right, we'll go to Martha first. Are you still with us, Martha?
I am, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm all set. I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. And Jason?
No questions.
And Ken?
All set.
All right, and Brad, do you have any comments with regards to this?
I'm all set now, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Is there any member of the public that would like to ask any questions or make any statements with regard to this proposal? Hearing none, we'll close this hearing. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda is a continued public hearing regarding the notice of intent filed by 6 Kings Point Drive Realty Trust for the demolition and reconstruction of a single-family house, retaining walls, and associated work at 6 Kings Point Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
this is John Grenier with J.M. Grenier Associates on behalf of the applicant. With me also, I believe, is John Salem. He's on the line as well. Just to give everybody a quick overview, Kings Point runs off of South Consignment Avenue. We are looking at 6 Kings Point Drive, which is at the southerly end and abuts the lake on both the southerly and the westerly side. The Salems have had this property in the family for a number of years. This was actually John's parents' house. They are proposing to redevelop the site by raising the existing house and replacing it with a new home that John will be residing in, which is shown on the site plan. It will contain a new house, a new garage area, and then there will be a series of some decks, a patio, and some paver patio areas with a fire pit. As they're on the lake, as you would know, they would want to be able to take advantage of all the views of the lake and the ability to enjoy the lake. Since our last meeting, it was requested that we look into a few things regarding Pervious Pavers. We had mentioned that for some of the paver patios, we were going to introduce Pervious Pavers. So we provided the detail for those, which would include a 12-inch deep bed of crushed stone, then a layer of filter fabric, then an additional layer of brick sand, and then the pavers would sit on top of that, and that would allow any of the runoff or any rain events that would allow any of that storm water to seep through the pavers and be able to provide additional recharge beyond what we are already providing. As you know from our last discussion, we are capturing all of the runoff from the roof. We are putting those into a series of storm tech chambers. So we're recharging the roof runoff. We're also capturing the driveway runoff, and we are providing a 6-foot diameter by 3-foot deep dry well that would capture and recharge the driveway runoff. Another item that was asked by the commission was to provide a cross-section and some details, because they will have some stone walls at the rear portion of the property and also at the westerly portion of the property. And I believe those were sent in almost a couple of weeks ago. The structural engineer provided those cross-sections for those walls that would be, again, on the southerly portion, adjacent to the deck and between the deck and the garage, and also on the westerly portion in the area of where that the patio is, where the fire pit is going to be. There's going to be a retaining wall there as well. So we provided those details to the commission. What I would also like to reinforce is that with the redevelopment of this property, we are going to be providing town sewer. There is a connection that was done a number of years ago that services other properties on Kings Point Drive. So they will be getting rid of a cesspool that is on site and tying this into town sewer. Again, we're going to be increasing the recharge rate of runoff. Right now, all of the runoff from the site flows overland and ultimately ends up in the lake. We're going to be capturing all that and recharging that into the ground. The closest point on the existing house to the lake, on the existing structure, is about 7 feet from what is the existing deck. And with the new deck, the closest point, we are approximately 13 feet. So although we are within the 30-foot buffer to the wetland, we are increasing the offset to the lake in the new scenario. And the reason for that was to provide basically some privacy. If they were to shift their house further to the north, they would be right on top of the abutter to the north, and they would also have zoning setback issues if they were to do that. They've already been to the zoning board for a special permit to maintain the existing nonconformities, and they don't want to increase those nonconformities. So I think I covered all the main topics. Also, I'd like to add in that with their planting plan, they are going to be introducing a number of new plantings and landscape features. So they will be also providing a great number of landscape trees, shrubs, and grasses throughout the entire site. So we believe that that is also a great improvement to the site beyond what is the existing condition on the site, where there are a lot of older trees that have reached their lifespan, and he's had trees down over the winter. So providing a new planting schematic on the property, we believe in the long term will be another great improvement to the property than what is the existing condition. So with that, I'd put it to the chair with any questions or comments that the board may have.
Thank you, John. And we'll go first to Martha Gosh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I do have a question. Hang on.
I don't like the echo.
Mute the speaker on your computer.
Yep.
Talk through your phone.
All right. I hate this. John, thank you very much for the presentation. I do have a question about the planting plan and the border between the lawn and the lake. Do you have any plantings at the lake's edge that will capture and retard any runoff from fertilizers, lawn chemicals, etc., that could possibly be washed into the lake?
At the very edge of the lake, I don't believe they have, along the retaining wall, they don't have any plantings. But from looking at the planting plan, near at the southerly center portion, I'm looking through the plant list right now, Martha. They have oh, there it is. Oh, they have a series of mixed grasses. Is that hydrangeas? So they have a series of shrubs at the base of that. So I guess the short answer is they do have plantings. They don't have anything right up against the edge of the stone retaining wall. But if there's something that there would be a condition that you would want them to use more natural fertilizers as opposed to something that would be high in nitrogen, I'm sure John would be amenable to that.
Yeah, well, I would like to see that whatever is used on the lawn stays on the lawn and doesn't go into the lake.
Right.
And a vegetation buffer will help with that. Something in like a low shrub that will not impede their view of the lake, because I respect that they want to have that view.
Mm-hmm.
But it will trap things that would otherwise be washed off from the patio and the lawn and all of that.
Understood. And
Okay.
I'd also like to point out, though, if you look from the existing condition, a good portion of the southerly end abutting the lake in the existing condition, there's quite a slope there. By introducing some of the retaining walls that they have, the area underneath, because the retaining wall, the foundation is going to act as a retaining wall, the area on the south side of the house, particularly to the west of the garage, that is going to be fairly flat. So it's not going to be as steep of a slope as there is now. That area where you have the stone walkway and then that transitions over to where the paver patio is, that's all going to be fairly flat. But I understand your point that they would like to have something that would capture anything to make sure that there isn't anything just washing off in heavy rainstorms into the lake. So
John?
I can talk to John about that.
John, can I add something for Martha?
Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Martha, John Salem. Two things. Right now, the way the area is landscaped is it's a pretty steep gravel slope with really no cover. What we're trying to do is these 300 plantings, we're going to bring the slope levels down, so it'll be less of a slope. These 300 plantings will be planted on the slopes to capture and slow the drainage of the water. And I had an extensive discussion with the landscaper about the edges that we're going to trim with lawn. Lawn's really not, we're going to use a hybrid type of lawn that doesn't have to be cut that often, doesn't have to be fertilized that often. And it's basically the most natural kind of greenery you can get on the lawn, a kind of a natural grass that will cut back on the use of fertilizers and absorb as much water as we can. I hope that helps.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Grenier, the other thing that I don't know if you mentioned, did you mention that we're removing the cut in the wall?
You know, I was going to bring that up, John. Yeah, in our previous presentation, John was looking to have a break in the stone wall in the area behind where the garage is on the southeasterly portion of the property. And he's reconsidered that, and he is not going to mess around with the wall. He's not going to put a break in it and modify the wall in any way. So we removed that from the plan. So that's off the table.
All right, thank you. And Jason, have any questions or comments?
None.
And Ken?
I'm all set.
As I am. And Brad, do you have any comments?
I'm all set.
Now, would there be any questions or comments from the public? Hearing and seeing none, I will close this hearing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. And we'll move on to the next hearing with regards to 5 Eck Court. And Martha, if you would read the public notice.
And I have to unmute my, okay. Sorry, I just have to find it. Okay, here we go. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Susan Grayson, 5A Eck Court, Shrewsbury, has filed a request for determination of applicability for the removal of trees at 5A Eck Court. A public meeting will be held on the above request at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 22nd, 2020.
Thank you. Is Susan Grayson or a representative available? Is it your understanding, Brad, that someone would be here representing this petition? Or?
I actually thought I saw her join earlier this evening. Just going down the list again.
You want to just hold this in abeyance?
Sure.
Move on to the temporarily move on to the next hearing with regard in regards to 242A South Consignment Avenue. Martha?
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Eric Putney and Carla Panarelli, 242A South Consignment Avenue, Shrewsbury, have filed a notice of intent to construct a garage addition, retaining wall, and grading at 242A South Consignment Avenue. Public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 22nd, 2020.
And is there someone here regarding, is there anyone present representing the petitioners?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt Morrow. I am here representing Carla and Eric. Yes. I'm assuming you guys can hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you,
Okay,
Matt.
thank you.
Go ahead.
So what we have is we filed a notice of intent for the construction of a retaining wall. The retaining wall is 6 feet in height, comes no closer to the lake, which is actually the resource area. There is no bordering vegetative wetland associated with the lake. They're actually, the property is bordered by an existing retaining wall in the lake. The retaining wall is designed to accommodate a proposed addition and a proposed garage. Those are within the buffer zone. They're looking at doing a repaving of the driveway, which actually is out of the buffer zone. Noted on the plan, there are 4 existing trees to be removed, 3 to accommodate construction, and 1 that is very close to the existing house. That's basically just getting too big. That actually is the, I guess you could call it the Reader's Digest version. There is wattles and silt, I mean, not wattles, excuse me, hay bales and silt fence that are proposed for construction purposes, and I'm free to answer any questions you may have.
Could you, Matt, if you could you address a memo you got from our Conservation Commission agent, Brad Stone, and whether or not you fulfill those questions?
I'm sure Brad can verify that, yes, I did, with the exception of one item which I did not have time to address, which was the engineering detail for the retaining wall. The retaining wall, being 6 feet in height, is going to require a building permit. The wall can't be constructed without one, and the engineering details will be provided to both Brad and the building inspector at the time of construction. So what I'm requesting is if the commission deems fit to issue an order of conditions, to add a condition that construction cannot begin until the engineering details for the retaining wall is submitted and approved by your staff and the building department. Everything else has been addressed, and the plans have been adjusted to reflect such.
All right. Martha, do you have any questions?
I have none at this time.
And Jason?
I have none. I would like to hear from Brad regarding the memo, but
Okay.
I have none at this time.
We'll come back to the members after we hear from Brad. And Ken, do you have any initial questions?
No, I'm all set.
Brad, do you have any comments on this?
Yes, I do. So the plan I have in front of you that I'm presenting, it's the first revision that we received today. I don't believe that we I didn't have a chance to upload the latest one. I think Matt sent one later in the afternoon, and it showed a couple of trees down in this area here, I believe, to be removed. But in addition to that, I think some of my comments have been addressed. Some need a little bit more work. With respect to the survey datum, there's a note on here that says it's Shrewsbury survey datum. Shrewsbury doesn't have their own survey datum, so there should be something in there. What I'm more concerned about is what the elevation datum is, whether it's NAVD 88 or NGVD 29. The surveyor should put that on the plan so that we know which topo we're dealing with. The other comment that looks outstanding is I did ask for proposed grading at and below the retaining walls, in this area in particular. So it doesn't look like they've shown that. There's a top of retaining wall. There's proposed grading above it, but as you can see, the bottom's listed at 366, so there should be a 366 contour in here that would eliminate these higher elevation ones, because I think these actually conflict with the proposed building elevations too. So if the intent was to put that retaining wall in and kind of flatten this area out for the addition, that grading should be shown on there. And then I guess the other question is, in addition to the trees that are going to be removed down by the existing house, I was curious if any other work was going to be done there, whether it was going to be stripped and revegetated, or how much exposure are we essentially going to see between these two erosion control barriers there?
So that would, we could term that like a construction sequencing plan, right, Brad?
Well, that I think can probably be answered right now. It's a pretty small project.
Okay.
This is Eric Bunny. I'm the homeowner. I can answer that last question you just jumped in with. That's all where you kind of were circling down in the bottom right of that property. That's all grass and is going to remain that way.
So there'll be no change in the topography of that area, right?
Correct.
Okay. that answer your question, Brad?
Do you need to redo that lawn, or is it just going to be remain intact and you're just removing the trees?
No, just the trees and the lawn will stay intact.
Okay.
So does that answer the question with regards to the grading at the bottom of the retaining wall, Brad?
No, that just answers the question with between the erosion control barriers. So there does need to be some proposed grading shown there, at least according to the elevations that are shown on the addition in the retaining wall.
Circling back through the members, Martha, do you have any questions?
No.
No? Jason?
I do not.
And Ken?
No.
Are there any questions from members of the public with regards to the petition? Hearing none. Matt, how would you prefer to address these issues that Brad says are remaining? Do you have any specific proposal?
Well, as far as the work going on the other side of the retaining wall, in speaking with the engineering company that the design, they said there was no grading proposed. So I'm assuming that what's happening here, based on my conversations with them, is that the wall is going to be a uniform height and there is no grading. It's just the bottom is going to blend in with the 366 contour that's shown on, and that there is no filling or grading that's going on behind here. The wall is made to address the unbalanced fill that will be in the back where the proposed garage is. It was a very specific question. I did ask the engineer today if there was any grading proposed here, and they said no. As far as the survey datum goes, I can have them clarify that note. What they did tell me was that there were other projects that they had worked on along the lakeside in that same neighborhood, and that there were elevations, reference elevations that everybody had agreed to on their prior projects as reference marks. So I can have them clarify that particular note.
Okay. Satisfied with that, Brad?
So no, I don't agree with that explanation for the grade on the wall. The whole purpose of this retaining wall is to change the grade there. So it's quite simply, I'll walk you through it. So you've got a proposed contour of 374 up here. So you've got a top of wall listed at 372. So there should be a 372 proposed contour somewhere around the top of this wall. What's below this wall, according to the elevation listed on the wall, is a 366 bottom elevation. So there should be a 366 contour drawn somewhere beneath this wall that's going to eliminate all these existing 372, 370, 368 grades, etc. So it's not something that's hard to do. It's something that can be pretty easily added to the plan, but there should be something that shows what the final grading is, at the wall, just above it, which they've already shown, and below the wall, which they haven't shown. Just to clarify what the grading in that area is going to look like. So they're not, according to this, at least what I can read, they're not bringing in fill in that area. They intend to excavate it. And, to that point, I would say that if they are going to be removing that, there should be something in the order that would going to be required to remove the excavates from site or outside of the buffer zone or something to that effect.
Yeah, I can have those elevations adjusted so that they're more clear.
As well as providing how you're going to make that, what's going to happen with that 6 feet of fill that you're going to excavate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
Please go ahead.
If there's any work to be done at the shoreline, how do you propose to get equipment down there to do the work?
The only thing that's proposed to be done anywhere near the shoreline is the removal of 2 trees. That's it. All of the other actual earthwork is proposed to be no closer than 47 feet to the edge of water.
Okay. If you ever needed to do repairs to the existing house, what would be the game plan?
Well, there's no repairs that need to be done currently to the existing house. If there was anything that came up to be done to an existing house, we would either have to amend the order or file for a new order of conditions if that come in the future, if there's anything that would require a threshold with filing with conservation. For an example, anything that would require earthwork to dig around the foundation, any drains that may need to put in, et cetera. There's nothing that needs to be done to the house structure itself.
Correct. I understand that. I'm just wondering if you have things happen, and if we're currently dealing with a situation where there's an issue with a retaining wall, and it's very difficult to get the equipment back into that area to do the work on it. So I'm just trying to apply that situation to this particular house, and just wondering if you've thought about a game plan for the future.
Let me take a look at the plan. I mean, there's nothing that's anticipated to be done. The wall that's there is in pretty solid condition. It would require some type of course, maneuvering around, which looks like it would be possible. But I mean, I don't see anything that would be required to be done in the immediate future. I mean, you're talking scenarios that could be far off, and it's understandable. Yes.
Right. I agree. I don't see anything to be done in the immediate future. I'm just trying to help you look ahead and think about things that might come up, because things come up. So if you feel that there are workarounds and ways to get things back there, that I'm satisfied with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public with regards to the petition? So if we were to condition this on the submittal of appropriate survey datum points, Brad, and subject to approval of the building permit, would that be acceptable to you in terms of closing this hearing?
So I would like to see on the plan, the proposed contours that are missing, the survey datum, and if the commission's comfortable with a condition for the retaining wall detail prior to the issuance of a building permit. And I would also add prior to the commencement of construction for this site in general, because sometimes we do have to chase these things down, then I would be fine with that. Really, the plan, the design modifications that need to be done are something that's literally should take 2 minutes for somebody to do.
Any objections to closing this hearing? Hearing none, we'll close it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving on to the next hearing with regards to 145R North Consignment Avenue, Martha.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Where are we? 145R?
Yes.
Okay. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, that Jim Ricciardi, 145R North Consignment Avenue, Shrewsbury, has filed a notice of intent for the demolition and reconstruction of a single-family house and associated site work at 145R North Consignment Avenue. A public hearing will be held on the above notice at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evening, September 22nd, 2020.
Thank you. Is Mr. Ricciardi or his representative here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is John Grenier with J.M. Grenier Associates. I'm here on behalf of Jim Ricciardi. Jim is actually on the line as well. This lot, Mr. Chairman, is located, as you know, on North Consignment Ave. It is a tiny lot. It's about 5,700 square feet. The access to this parcel is actually through the condo development at 143 North Consignment Ave. This is an old lake house. It's literally been built around with all redevelopment over the years. in this section of North Consignment Ave, it's really one of the last true old lake houses, lake lots. So what Jim is proposing to do is to raise the existing house that is on the site. There is an existing house and a one-car detached garage. And what he's proposing to do is replace that with a new structure with an attached garage where the driveway comes onto the property at the southeast portion of the lot. That would drive right into an attached garage with the new structure. Jim is maintaining the existing setbacks to the lake. The existing setback from the concrete patio of the existing structure is 28 feet, and the closest point with a proposed deck off of the new structure is 28 feet. He's staying outside of the sewer easement in this section of North Consignment Ave. There's a sewer easement that runs along the shore. Obviously, he's staying outside of that as well. So it's pretty much a tear down of the existing home and a replacement with a new structure, maintaining setbacks to the lake, and where this is literally a 5,700 square foot lot. He's kind of working with what he's got on the lot. And I think he's done a pretty good job with this, with the constraints that the site does have. So with that, I'd put it to the chair with any questions or comments.
Thank you, John. I have a question with regards to the house to the immediate north of that. Is that on the property line?
Yes, it is on the property line. And in fact, if you look at the plan, Bob, they have a fence. There's an existing PVC fence that is on this property as well.
Okay.
So,
all right.
not done.
Any questions? Any questions, Martha?
I have none at this time. Thanks.
Okay. And Jason?
I'm all set.
Ken?
No questions.
And any comments, Brad, from your review here?
Just one quick one. When I went out to the site and went out onto the dock and looked at the retaining wall, there does seem to be some pieces that are missing the wall. It looks like it's getting undercut a little bit. So I just didn't know if that was looked at, if there was any work that needed to be done to the wall at this time.
You know, I'd put that to Jim if he's on the line. I'm sure if there's any repairs, he doesn't want any issues with it. But Jim, have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, what I would like to do is I would like to do the repairs to the bottom of the wall next spring, when they lower the water table. There's a couple of stones that have fallen out.
So you probably know better than I do, Jim. Is that more handwork?
It's handwork, yes.
I asked the question, if it's handwork, should we add a condition to this so that would suggest the repair of this wall by hand and avoid having to hear a new petition to repair the wall?
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm raising the issue. Let me ask the commission members what how they felt about that. Ken, do you have an issue with that?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Brad, that makes sense, right?
Sorry, my computer is going a little slow.
Okay,
Is the
when you
image of the
saw it,
wall up?
Yeah,
So
I see it now.
okay, so I just wanted to see. So I didn't really spend much time there looking at how much of a structural issue that was, or if that was more cosmetic work there. Looking at it right now, it does look like what's probably there as possibly as part of the foot-in could be missing. But at a glance, some of it looks just cosmetic too. So it would have to be looked at closer than I certainly did on site that day. I only brought the issue up because if the work was going to be done, a lot of times it requires that it does come to the Conservation Commission. And I agree with the applicant in that you do want to take advantage of the drawdown period to do it. And since that typically starts, late November, if it was going to be done this year, you'd want to see something incorporated into this project.
Well, maybe we can craft a condition that would allow cosmetic changes by hand, but any structural changes would not be permitted by this application. But we can talk about that later. Are there any, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't have an issue with that because I believe anything that I do over there will be by hand.
So I turn to the public, see if there are any members of the public that have any comments or questions with regard to this petition. Hearing none, we'll close this hearing.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to new and old business.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we see if the original petitioner is available?
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. Going back to the petitioner, is Susan Gravison here? Well, let's talk about this anyway, since we opened the hearing. Brad, are you familiar with this petition? Have you visited the site?
I'm familiar with it. I did not visit the site, but I do have some photos. So let me just see if I can pull them up for the commission.
Her petition included quite a few good photos that would give you an idea of the deterioration in these trees.
Right. So
when would you have an opportunity to visit this site, Brad, if we were to act on this?
If you needed to visit it, I mean, I could do it probably sometime next week. But I think the pictures were pretty explanatory of what was looking to be removed.
I would agree.
So I didn't personally have an issue with the removal of those.
How many trees are there, Brad, with the petition specific?
I thought it was those three. I was just trying to double check some of might have been in the application. Yeah, don't quote me on the number, but I thought it was those. Yeah, it said see pictures. Yeah, I was under the impression it was those three, and I was kind of hoping for a little bit of an explanation on that tonight.
Mr. Chairman and Brad,
Please.
I'm looking at the application, and under 2A work description, it says there are 3 unhealthy trees on my property I would like to have removed before winter.
Okay. All right. Well, do we have a motion from any of the members with regards to this?
I make a motion that we want to approve this RDA for Rule 12.
Negative determination?
Yes, the negative determination.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll take a roll call on this vote. So Martha,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and Chairman says aye. Moving on to new business. And we'll need some motions for orders of conditions.
Make a motion with order of condition for 378 Main Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. Martha,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and myself, aye. 6 Kings Point Drive.
Make a motion, we approve an order of conditions for construction of a home at 6 Kings Point Drive.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Going to a vote. Martha,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Ken,
Aye.
and myself, an aye. On to 242A South, Consignment Ave.
Make a motion, we approve an order of conditions for 242A South Consignment Ave for construction of a garage, addition, and retaining wall and associated grading, with the condition that the engineering department receives a drawing showing the revised grades and with a building permit showing that the wall has been designed properly.
And the survey datum as well. Is there any discussion? And we'll go to a vote. Martha? Go ahead.
Right, just that we receive that retaining wall detail prior to commencement of work.
That's right. And that'd be approved by the building inspector. But you can craft that condition to it. Martha?
Do we have a second?
Second.
No,
Okay,
we do now.
all right. Then I vote aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Moving on to 145R North Consignment Avenue.
Make a motion, we approve a order of conditions for construction, single-family home and associated site work at 145R North Consignment Ave.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Martha, voting?
Did we want to put something in about the handwork on the retaining wall?
Yes, we do. Would you, who wants to say that? You want me to do it? Then under condition that this order of conditions also include the ability to repair the retaining wall with handwork, provided it not be a structural repair. Is there a second to that?
Second.
And to a vote, Martha?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And myself, also aye. That concludes the new business. Another discussions of certificates of compliance. Brad?
Sure, give me 1 second. Things are moving very slow electronically for some reason. Okay, why don't we start with the first two, which is the 2 Cherry Street lots. Okay, so if the commission recalls, this was also on the agenda last month. We had requests for certificates, one for 58 Cherry Street, this lot over here, and one for 62 Cherry Street over here. We had letters accompanying the requests for 58 Cherry Street. We had one from Land Planning that the order was in compliance with the order of conditions, and we had one from Thompson and Liston for 62 Cherry that the order was in compliance with the order of conditions. I had some doubts and questions, so I met with the homeowners consultants out on site early September and more or less discovered what I thought I had remembered from the site the previous year, in that not all of the replication area required in the order of conditions was constructed. So this is a plan. Since the site walk that we did early September, this plan is dated September 11th, and this plan done by Thompson Liston indicates what they believe to be the edge of the existing wetlands today. So this shaded area kind of represents what was constructed for the replication work. I have not been back to the site since we looked at it, but my recollection is that this probably looks pretty accurate from when I was out there. So what that would mean is that this area out in here, both to the left and right of that hatched area, would have been replication work that was supposed to be completed and was not constructed. This area over on 58 Cherry Street consists mostly of woods. This area over on 62 consists of lawn, essentially. There's actually a couple of recent trees. There's a couple of trees planted in that area that look fairly new as well. There's also some area outside of the proposed replication area that was done that you can see was probably actually created because of the work that was done sometime last year, I believe, by the homeowner, when they actually did a lot of disturbance for the redoing of the lawn work, I think it was at the time. So it kind of got a little bit disturbed in here, but got brought down slightly lower and probably allowed the wetland vegetation to simply creep in that area. What's kind of helping things grow there right now is actually the beaver dam creating an impoundment. It's actually pretty wet back there, even though we're in a drought conditions. That area is wetter than it normally would be right now. So there is some purple loosestrife in that area, but for the most part, it's all wetland veg. And because of the beaver dam, some of the woody material that was planted in the replication area is actually dying off. But that's really out of control of anyone doing the project. That's no fault to them at this point. So just looking at it, again, my comment to the commission would be that it's not in compliance with the order of conditions, but there's a couple of options that I see the commission could take. One is, if you wanted to see all of the replication work finished, it certainly could be done during this growing season. Again, even though we're in a drought, the hydrology conditions actually would make good opportunity to simply get that work done in the next few weeks. The other thing you could do, and it's not something I would typically recommend on one of these, but it's fairly unique to this particular project, is you have the do nothing option. Typically with replication work, because of all the things that can impact it, the commission usually asks for a minimum of 1.5 to 1 replication, and that's something pretty common throughout the Commonwealth, with commissions asking for more replication than what's disturbed. But I'll make a point and go back to the planning stages for this project, that the wetland that was filled here is a federal wetland and not a state wetland. So I would be less bothered by a 1-to-1 replication, for instance, than trying to recover more of a bordering wetland loss. Again, this was the wetland down in this area that was filled for part of it. So what the applicant's representative is shown is that there was about a 4,402 square foot federal wetland that was filled. And what they've created as of today in their estimate is a 4,711 square foot. So it's just a little bit more than a one-to-one replication. So, we could have them finish the replication and make it 1.5 to 1, or if the commission is satisfied with it being just a little bit over 1 to 1, then I would in that case simply suggest that the commission issue the certificate of compliance.
Thank you, Brad. It sounds like the beavers are helping us out. Would you agree with that? I mean, you say they've dammed up water in the area, and
There's a beaver dam downstream on the condominium property there, and it has there is more water back there than usual. It's actually been worse at times than I saw it earlier this month, but it's pretty wet. It's a lot wetter than it normally would be back there.
even though we're in a drought.
Correct.
Are there any observations that commission members would like to make, Martha?
I don't have observations. I do agree that I think the beavers in this case are helping, and that wetland is likely to grow, at least for the next few years until the beavers get tired and leave. But in the meanwhile, there will be wetland plants. I'm okay with the approximately 1-to-1 replication at this point.
Jason?
I agree with Martha. I'm also comfortable with the just over 1-to-1 replication. I think the homeowners have really tried to bring this back, and I don't think there's any reason to go to a 1.5-to-1 replication. I think just over 1 is fine.
Yeah, I'm all set. I'm good.
I am as well. So we should, I guess we'll sign this when it comes before us, Brad, when you present it to us. Okay?
Okay. So both of those the commission's okay with?
Yes. 177 Crescent.
So 177 Crescent, as well as 23 Shirley Road. I have not had a chance to look at those two yet. Those were pretty straightforward projects, I recall. I'm not suspecting anything outstanding, but I do have to make a final inspection. If the commission's okay with conditionally approving those, pending my satisfaction, then we can issue it sometime next week. Otherwise, if there's a problem, I can bring it back to the commission next month.
Okay. Any objections to that? No? How about 38 Brookline Parkway?
So that one I did take a look at, and I'm just gonna see if I can quickly bring a photo up. Something's not working.
You need a telco connection there, Brad, at your home and wherever you are.
Is that showing up, that photo?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's half a tree.
So, okay, good. So the, right, so I don't know, I think this project came through about 2 years ago. This is up by the Worcester Sand site. as you're heading up the road towards Newton Pond, there's a dirt road, and right at the very end of it was a home that was being proposed to be torn down. And if the commission remembers, right behind this tree there is a perennial stream, and there's also a dam behind the vegetation here. And the commission had a lot of concern about the slope over in this area just behind the truck, and some proposed retaining walls that were supposed to be done up beside the new home, etc. I think it went through some hearings and ultimately got approved. But what happened was the new house wasn't built. They used the existing foundation and basically rebuilt in that location. And in terms of the site work, so there's no retaining walls or other things up in that area because there's no new house. But the site work, there was some work within the riverfront as well as restoration work that was supposed to be done, and we're kind of looking at it right now. So, you know, this is the driveway over in here to the right, and to the left would be your restoration area. And then kind of behind me off the page is some more disturbed areas as well. But it's clearly, just looking at it, it's clearly not vegetated or ready for a certificate at this point. You know, I have some concerns too about lack of erosion control that's there in some areas. You can kind of see underneath the shade and the trees is the remnants of a straw wattle, but that's really not functioning now. And they were supposed to have hay bales and silt fence there for the construction. So I'm going to reach out to the applicant, see if they can, you know, reinstall some of the erosion control. And, you know, this would actually have to be, you know, vegetated before the commission could approve it, because it's right up to the resource area, and it's, you know, it's not clearly not stable at this point. That's just a picture of where the stream, it's actually more or less where the stream diverges. So the main stream flow is behind these shrubs here. This area channel that receives when the pond is a higher level, and that's really the secondary. So they did rip wrap and fix the slope instability over in here. And then the restoration work down in here, that just needs to be done. There is some area up above this guardrail towards the entrance of the driveway. They may have actually filled some floodplain in there just by pushing some material. It's not a lot, it can easily be removed, but that's another question that I'm gonna have for the engineer as well. So I'll reach out to, I think it was Quinn Engineering that submitted the application. You know, they stated that it was complete in accordance with the order, except some of the things weren't done with the new home, but it's really, there's still some unfinished work that needs to be done back there.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, so we're moving on to enforcement orders. 284-86 South Consignment Ave, Brad.
So that's the one that's next door to the superseding order of conditions site that the state did enforcement on. And the reason why I had this on the agenda is I was concerned that some of that, there was some project coordination between those two lots. And what I think I've since found out was that the developer doing that duplex was more or less unaware of the material that was dumped on this other lot at 284 to 286. The state has actually been involved in interviewing some of the people involved with it. So it sounds like, you know, one of the contractors, but not the general contractors out there at the superseding order site, did supply the fill for this particular lot, but there really wasn't any project coordination there. So it's going to remain a separate issue. Just to bring the commission up to speed, I played phone tag with the homeowners quite a bit. I did finally get a hold of them last week and kind of guided them as to what they needed to do. They seem to not want to go forward with any additional work once I mentioned to them what was involved. But to comply with the order of conditions, I'm sorry, the enforcement order, they would probably have to remove the fill material and restore the site to its original condition. So the question I have right now is if they're not proposing anything and they don't want to file a notice of intent like the commission requested at the last meeting, would the commission be okay with them removing the fill and restabilizing the site just under the enforcement order?
Well, I would. I don't know, Martha, do you have any comments to that?
It gets to our original goal of returning it to its natural condition.
Right. Yeah, with by the enforcement, we've ordered them to do it. Let them do it, and then we don't have to file. They don't have to file. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
Ken?
Just a question for Brad, but even on the enforcement order, Brad, do you think they'll do it?
I think there's been a lot of hand-holding so far. So I'm not sensing that I'm feeling resistance as much as educating, because they are homeowners new to this. So I just wanted to be clear what the commission was expecting, and it makes perfect sense to me. If they want to leave the fill in place and it happens to be buffer zone work, for instance, then they should file a notice of intent and prove that and have the commission condition it otherwise. Or simply they can remove and restore everything to its previous condition under the enforcement order. So I just wanted to be able to, relay that message to them.
Well, I think you seem to have it. You seem to be confident about being able to get this done, Brad. And if not, we'll be back next month.
Okay.
27 Nightmare Boulevard.
Okay, so let me just trying to get to that one. So this one just came up the other day, Friday actually, and I was aware of something happening there, but didn't know the full extent at the time. Let me just bring the picture up. Can everybody see the photo?
Not yet,
Yeah.
but it's coming. Now we do.
Okay. So this was what you're looking at. I mean, clearly there's some ground disturbance, some new sonotubes, and some new timber posts for the deck. This is not a new deck that I could see. It was existing, and it had some structural problems with it from what I can gather, and they put in the new sonotubes and some support posts for it. I believe it's, looking at aerials and other factors on site, it's within the same footprint of what was there. But they never came to Conservation Commission for the footings. And to my knowledge too, I think the building inspector has been after them to get a building permit for the site, which they have not responded to her for that. So my question to the commission is, do we want to send them an enforcement order for a cease and desist at this point? Or is there anything in addition to that you'd like to see? This could very well be the extent of the project. I don't have any reason to believe they're planning anything else, but I don't know. I just know they haven't been responsive to the building inspector, so I figured I'd notify the commission before anything got too far here.
Okay, my original thought would be that we should do something to support the efforts of the building inspector too, in some way. I mean, if these are intransigent people, if these people are not going to be cooperative in any way, well then, just to protect our own selves, we should issue an enforcement order. But if they're willing to, they're going to come in and deal with it, because this is probably something we'd issue a negative determination for if they came to an RDA, right? They didn't do any other grading work or anything, right, Brad?
Right, not that I can see. I mean, typically you're right. If somebody's just doing 3 sonotubes or whatever for a deck,
Yeah.
it's usually a negative determination.
Yeah. So, it doesn't seem to rise to the level of an enforcement order to me. But clearly they should satisfy the building inspector. Any other comments? No?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I mean, instead of a formal enforcement order, I could do more of a cordial type letter format, just notifying them that they should have filed for that activity, cease any additional earthwork out there, and then notify us what their intentions at this point.
That'd be great. An FYI letter, and I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that.
Yep, fair enough.
Mhm.
Brad, how were you made aware of this?
I found out about it through the town manager's office.
All right. Any other business? Ken?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Well done. Second?
Second. I second.
And we need a vote. So Martha?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And I for me. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.